Welcome to this episode of Security Market Watch. I'm your host, Josh Bruning, and this is the show that goes straight to the source. We go right to everybody who's in the industry, the people who are in the weeds for cybersecurity analysis, industry updates, industry insights, everything you need to know about the cybersecurity business. And today, our guest is Jonathan Capriola, who is the CEO and founder of AI Blockchain Ventures. Jonathan, welcome to Security Market.
Thanks for having me on.
Welcome
I love this.
to Security
Great.
Market Watch.
I love it. So appreciate this. I know it's a long time coming. Maggie's been talking about me being on the show for like 60 days, 90 days or something. And I was like, hold on. We'll get there. But now I'm starting to do podcasts again. So this is good.
Awesome. And we're glad to talk to you.
Oh, I was going to say specifically, I was told to wait because you had a book coming out. So let's just start right there.
Yep. And funny enough, it hit #1 on some cybersecurity on Amazon and one other. I should know it, but it has to do with security on Amazon. So for some reason, Cryptograph, I think it was, it hit #1 within 48 hours of being released, and it humbled me really quickly. And was like, wow, because when you release something, you don't know if anyone's gonna even look at it. And I do things a little backwards. I release something, then I hype it up. I don't hype things up and then release, like you're supposed to in crypto and some other things we can get into. But I just do things a little backward. I'd rather it out so people don't think that it's like a scam or something. There's a lot of those out there in the world.
Yeah, it's also a lot of pressure, right? If you're gonna hype it up, then you really got to release the book.
Yeah, there's a pro and con on that, though. They say that it's good to hype something up so it gets you momentum to work and do that. But I already have that work ethic. I don't need to hype anything up. I just go at it. So.
Boy, that would have the opposite effect on me.
A lot of people want to ask, did you use AI? No, I leveraged AI, meaning if I didn't understand something, I went to AI and asked certain questions to it. So I want to get that out. No, it's not written by AI at all. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those, Apple, Google, they all scrub your book. So when you publish on their site, they make sure that you did not, they have the tools, I guess, they know that, ChatGPT didn't recite your book or read it for you. I do leverage AI as a technology. I don't utilize it as a go-to for everything, but it does help. And you'd be a fool not to leverage it, I think. Well, it's my personal humble opinion.
I would expect that answer from someone owning a company called AI Blockchain Ventures. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I study AI and I love AI and I talk about AI and AI is my life. Did you use AI? No.
I leveraged, some of the aspects of it. Like, if you're writing a chapter on security, what are the top 5 things on security, that we need to know? And,
on a collaborative publication like that, I think you said you had 22 authors?
So yeah, I did. I was getting ready to say I did use ghostwriting, editing, because I'm not the best writer. I'm just not. I didn't go, to MIT or I didn't even go to college. So I'm a really good idea guy, and those ideas get accentuated and expressed even more so and put on steroids, so to speak, with the right human beings involved. Finding the right human beings is a whole nother book. It's a whole nother podcast. But I do search for them. I always say this, Bill Gates doesn't know how to write .NET, but he can surround himself with the right people who do not know how to write .NET. That ages me a little bit, but back when .NET was significant, that was a cool thing to say.
I never took that approach I'm a writer and I've never thought of that. And now I'm just thinking, shoot, man, maybe I would have published a book by now if I just took that approach. Think about your book as a product. I always talk about information being a product, and we build products with teams. Why not build a book?
That's what I was just gonna say. I love your approach because that's what we did on our book too. We had 12 authors, and it really, in my opinion, you just get so much more data that way, especially at least in this industry, I'll say.
Yes. And you also get, like, I might think something's correct for like a global audience, but then my way, my Italian culture and my upbringing doesn't really flow correctly with that. So you have someone else's opinion to say, no, I've been doing this, 10 years, John. you don't write like that. You can say it, but you have to use these words to say what you're going to say,
Right.
I was taught very, like, I use my hands, I'm doing it right now, and I'm very direct. And sometimes it puts people off. They're just like, whoa, most of the time, actually, to be honest with you. So with that stated, it's best to surround yourself with, the great people. You don't hire a brain surgeon and tell him how to operate. You let him do his thing. So you look for the best brain surgeon if you're going to. That's my little acknowledge, and it seems to be okay. It's finding those people is the really hard part. Specifically, if you spend money prior and then you realize they're not the right person, and then you try to get your money back, that can be a job on itself.
Yeah, it's like any other business when you're starting. It's just it's an uphill battle.
The book, I put a lot of passion in it, and I actually, I registered addictedtosilence.com 4 years before I wrote this book. So I knew that I was going to write a book.
So a little bit of pressure.
And I kept it. And I remember that my card wasn't on file, and I lost the domain for like a week, and I went crazy, yelled at a lot of people around me, and they got me my domain back, and I was like, cool, great. And then about a year later, I wrote it, and then I wrote it with a series in mind. So it's Addicted to Silence in the New Age of AI, but I have other series that I will launch behind this.
Addicted to Noise. That's the next one.
Addicted. There's so many things you can be addicted to.
Wow. Yeah, that's a never-ending series. That was perfect, John. I must commend you.
Yeah.
You've chosen an app title that ensures that you're going to have a lifetime of series because, like you said, you can be addicted to anything.
Yeah.
Well, when we were off, talking before this, I told you that, like, when I die, I want to contribute. I want to know what I've contributed to society. I guess when you're dead, you're dead, so it doesn't really matter. But for me, it does. I like to put some great things out there. I did that with my toy, and when I invented the toy product, and it went global in 58 countries and won 60 toy awards. And now I'm doing it again with this book. I wrote a previous book called Making Ideas a Reality, step-by-step guide for inventors and entrepreneurs. I used 9 books for that particular book. This book, I used a lot more than that, and then a large team, which is costly to do, but it does give you a very amazing product at the end of the day, like you said. And books only have any product has like an 18 months shelf life on it, if you're lucky. So I don't look at it as that. You can look at some other books. I have over 500 you can't see them, but there's about 500 here. That's not even half my collection. And I told you off screen as well that I love to read. It's one of the, it's like my garden. It's like my escape. I love diving into, there's another great book I hate to plug other people's book. The Metaverse, really good book, really good book about what's coming, where we're going, and things like that. So I like to listen to, certain people's takes. Here's another one. Since Dubai and AUEs are up and coming, my story. One of the best quotes I hear is, and I love this, and I highlight the books, and I put all of these notes and stuff. You can kind of see them a little nuts with that. He says, I'd rather sleep on the floor in a desert and deal with scorpions than human beings. And he's the ruler of Dubai. So that ought to tell you, and I concur with that statement in this book. And I think it was in chapter 1 or 2, he says that.
So is that is it a statement on just the human condition and what it's like to be a human being and to be in power and politics?
Yeah. So power comes in a lot of forms, right? It comes in a lot of forms, and a lot of people deal with it differently. You've seen it, Prince dealt with it different. Michael Jackson dealt with it different. These people that they grow up rough, and then they come into a power of, hey, I can fill out an auditorium with 200,000 people or stuff like that. It affects people differently. So it's how they utilize it. And I think that whenever you get in pressure situations with like ruling an entire area of people, there's a lot of pressure. And then you see on your team the different sides of human nature that want that power or that envy you. Envy is the worst, right? So you have to deal with humans on all levels. When I was a little toy company and I was only selling to the little mom and pops, it was still I mean, I was blowing up pretty fast. But when Target came aboard and prepaid me $17 million, that changed everything. People came out of the woodwork to meet with me. They came out of the woodwork to get what I had. They came out of the woodwork to, ride the coattails of my successes. And you don't experience that until you do experience that, unfortunately. And so there's really there's nowhere to prepare for that. And so then you get to meet the true human beings of the world that you surround yourself with, and that has a huge impact on you. It really does. I've seen it with Gary Vee, and I've seen it with some other people. I mean, Gary keeps spouting some really amazing things when you see him on video, and I love his videos. But, I wonder how, I mean, he is running a major company, and I know there's a lot of pressures there to run a major company. I've met many, many billionaires, and I've looked at their companies, and I've hung out with them, and I've watched their companies, and it's chaos. It's chaos from Monday to Monday, and you have to deal with all different facets coming at you, and that changes you. Whether you say it does or doesn't, I promise you become a different person. I went on a sabbatical basically after I was done with my company, the toy business. The toy business is intense because it's like the music business.
Well, so Jonathan, real quick, before we jump into the book, I want to hear about your book. I want to hear about the AI, blockchain, all that stuff.
Okay.
But you keep bringing up the toy. I'm super curious. What is this toy?
So I embedded a LED inside of a Lego, and I had each one connect to each other, and they lit up. And I was funded by Greg Norman and his Great White Shark Opportunity Fund. And the name should pretty much stout from what it actually is. It ended pretty badly. So I had to get the DOJ and the FBI involved. That's how bad it ended. However, the ride taught me a lot of lessons out there in the world that I had to deal with. And we're talking about Greg Norman. He took the entire PGA to live, LIV, Dubai, and then wrote an article on how he did it. So it's like, I'm not saying anything bad or anything. I'm just saying, the audience can go do their own due diligence. However, the ride of my toy, there's no fluff. I mean, it is what it is. And I invented it in my garage in a little $150,000 house back in the day, a long time ago. And I was driving a Ferrari at the end of the day. So, I sold out in Dubai Mall 2 times. I sold out in Costco 4 years in a row. Sold out in Target for a long time. Many, many months. So I rode that wave, and it was good, and it was a great experience. And all I can tell you is I can reflect on that and tell you that it's a totally different. Like people wish they had this and they wish they had that until you actually have it and you're in the middle of it and you're like, you have to make all these decisions like this.
You're one human being. You've got to do it all.
Correct. You're wearing all these hats, whether you like it or not, because at the end of the day, you've borrowed money from someone and you're responsible for that money. And I would enter this. I had 17 offices and 6 bathrooms and 3 conference rooms and a 40,000 square foot warehouse. It was massive. And I'll tell you, I used to enter the glass door of that building and just be like, I felt a lot of pressure. And after you feel that kind of pressure, when you're done with it, it's hard to start something else. It's hard. So when you see someone like an Elon Musk, or you see someone out there running all these companies, you're just like, there's zero social life. There's no way, because, it's just too much. There's logistics involved, and there's just so many. Just the logistics alone is a nightmare. Getting things from point A to point B on time and with quality, it's a job all in itself.
May I ask, did your not just your social life, but your personal life? I don't know if you have a wife or kids, or what you're doing.
A wife and 3 kids of 27 years or 23 years.
Now, what did you put them through? Did they suffer a little bit, or
everyone did?
Wow.
Yeah. So like everybody around me, if I was in a bad mood. So it was like, I'm not making excuses for tyrants or bad mouth speaking or anything like that. You become a prodigy of your environment. If your environment's chaos and doesn't have systems in place, then that's what you become. And with ABV, the first thing I said is we're going to do everything systematically. We're going to talk to people systematically. We're going to roll out our technology systematically, and we're going to have a transparency, a mechanism involved. And that's so, you're able, if you learn from the mistakes that you made previous, and you're able to jump off that lily pad onto a better lily pad, you can succeed. And this time I'm not going to go gangbusters. Like I've turned customers away from ABV, so I don't have to deal with, like, I'm being very choosy on the projects. Before, when you're selling a toy that has an 18-month shelf life, you're like, yeah, you know, and then you try to grow a brand after you've said yeah to a bunch of people that are discounting your product and doing this, and it gets very difficult. So
everything in their interest, not necessarily in yours, huh?
Correct, 100%. This time, instead of having, there's a fine line between perception and perspective, you know. So now, you know, my perception of what it could be and what it is, and then you take your feet out of your own shoes and put them into other people's shoes and learn from their perspective of what you're selling, how you're running your operations and stuff. That's a big change there. So, and I think you should do that with security as well. You don't go into software security going, well, hackers, you got to look from a hacker standpoint, right? In order, you know, we took this course on security, and the first thing they teach you is a zero trust policy. And I started laughing. And, you know, it kind of goes back to the scorpion story I said earlier. There's a zero trust policy. It's the first thing you learn. You don't open links that you don't know who they're from. Zero trust. So it's kind of like, wow. And that correlates a lot into, it's hard. It's a hard way to live. But if you live that way, you have to, trust is earned, right? Over time. So, you know, I dated my wife 7 years before I married her, you know, and then I married her, and now we've been together 23 years. I mean, we have a pretty cool relationship. I think it's it's much stronger now than it ever has been. We just had an anniversary. So congratulations. Yeah. And then we have 3 amazing kids. They're doing well. They're all averaging like 4.8 GPAs and stuff. So
wow.
Yeah, they're
that
doing
always blows my mind. The kids who get like 110%. I'm like, where are these extra percentages? I thought it only went up to 100.
You hear about what your kid, tell them what your kids do, John.
So you can follow them on GitHub at Devin Capriola and at Gavin Capriola. So there's no fluff and there's no lying there. You know, they've had job offers from the DOJ and Lockheed Martin through their GitHub account at age 14. They're only 15. They code at a college level, ML and AI. They love AI. They love it. Because let me explain something. The last 3 weeks, they've been working on a model, and they've gotten this result from it. This. And I said, are you tired of it yet? They're like, no. And I would be like, you know, 3 weeks of my time, I didn't get didn't get anything. Like, it's not happening. I would go psychotic.
Well, think of all the wasted time that we spent on at least they're using their time in a productive way. I have spent way more than 3 weeks at a time when I was 14 doing stuff that just did not pay off. It was not worth it.
That goes back to when they were really young, and I didn't know if they understood it or not. I had them do a book report on the power of habit. And so that kind of gave them an idea, and they did a very thorough book. I still have it, actually. It's amazing, both of them. And they did a very thorough, and it's great because then they understand how valuable time is. You know, when you are 14, you look at time totally different than I do at 48, right? So they have all the time in the world, and they don't. Time is something you never get back once it's spent. And it's something we all have that's equal 24 hours in a day, but it's how we spend it that makes us who we are at the end of the day. So I think that it's very important to utilize that one particular subject extremely caution. And I think they utilize it extremely well. But they play hockey. So don't think that they're nerds by any, but they are definitely nerds in the technology sector.
Hey, nerds are different these days. Nerds are in. Like, what was a nerd when I was a kid? I mean, when I was a kid, I was a nerd. I mean, I had the glasses, the turtleneck, the khakis. You
even took the dress code to the
yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I embraced it. If you opened the dictionary and you saw the word nerd right next to it, it'd be a picture of me with my big Steve Urkel glasses.
It makes you feel any better. At one point, I had braces with like 20 rubber bands across, and I couldn't even open my mouth. And I'm trying to flirt with boys like that. No, oh god, yeah.
Hey, we put all the work in for the nerds so that today nerds are hot.
Yeah.
No, it's it's interesting how they change, and they change rapidly from 13 to 15, 15 to 16 and so forth. So it's fun watching them change. I even have a 10-year-old. He's coding. He's got about 110, 120 hours in code. He is more on the Unreal side. He wants to learn gaming and stuff like that. The other side though, with the boys, they've taken, they have over 60 certs, maybe 70 now. They don't even care anymore. At first, they were laminating them and holding them up, and then it got too many. And then Devin one time said he comes out and shows me his certs, and he has them in a folder, like not in a binder, like in a folder. And I'm like, wow. And I said, well, consistency is the game, right? They're in a game. If they can stay consistent at age 19, they'll be fine. I mean, right now they have PyTorch certs. A PyTorch developer's around $4.50 an hour. They have TensorFlow certs. They did fast AI tutorials, the first one and the second one. And so they know it really well. But I will say, at age 12, Gavin won $18,000 from Baiju. He beat out 90,000 developers. So I think it's like giving a kid a basketball. The kid kind of knows he's good at basketball after a while, right? So then if you can get him a tutor that makes him even better at basketball, or a mentor, then he can go to a whole another level, and maybe be the next, Jordan or whoever,
Do you tutor them? Do you
no,
try to?
But I got them the right tutor. And with that said, that person was very impressed because that tutor particular had a lot of time wasted with kids doing this. They're all over the place, checking their phones, this and that and the other. And she was like blown away of how amazing they were into it. Like,
a lot of G's.
Yes. I call them my savants. They hate that, but I do that all the time.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to love this then. I mean, the last 10 minutes was us calling them savants.
And I don't view it as a derogatory word, but I mean, other people do, but they're just smart. I can't help it.
Yeah.
They can't help it either. They're very smart. They must have get it from their mother.
It's Devin and Matt, right?
Devin and Gavin.
Devin and Gavin. Shout
named
out
them
to
a little
Devin and
too close. Yeah. So you can follow them at GitHub at Devin Capriola and at Gavin. They have Microsoft engineers following them, Google engineers following them, Meta engineers following them. I don't think those people know that they're only 15. Gavin was just recently kicked off of LinkedIn because he wasn't allowed to be on there because they have a 16 and older platform.
Well, I was going to say, if I remember right, it was Devin that reached out to me for a demo with you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. But again, that's AI. So that is, we're leveraging AI just to see if you're interested in what we're doing. We use Devin's name, we use Gavin's name, and we use mine, and then Tanya's as well. We're like a family of cult of AI people. But Tanya's not really into AI as much as like the rest of the family. She understands it, knows it, but the rest of the family is like live and breathe it. We talk about algorithms and stuff during dinner. It's kind of weird.
Well, so. I wanted to bring something up really quick here. You sent me a video of a robot that blew me away. You sent this about a month ago, and obviously you've invented a toy. You've got all this technology, all these amazing things you're doing. I wanted to ask you just your opinion. Where do you think we're headed with robots?
So yeah, we're heading in a direction where listen to Elon Musk. He's getting ready right now. Is a great time to. I'm not going to plug Tesla, but Tesla's the stock right now is he's getting ready to roll out a truck. He's getting ready that I have on order. He's getting ready to roll out a robot, and you can listen to him talk about where we're heading with robots. I think you're going to see tons of robots all over the place. They're going to start embedding AI in the chipsets of these robots, where these robots can go out to the internet automatically on themselves, update themselves via the cloud or whatever. And you're going to see a whole. I mean, we're in a world that is changing unlike anything ever in my life, that I've ever witnessed, that we've any of us have ever witnessed. And I think that's what inspired me to write Addicted to Silence, is because I think what's going to happen in the next 5 years, personally, from me reading all these crazy books, Life 3.0, and I can go into detail about all these other books. I think you'll see that you're going to rely on robots some people come home to their pets, other people come home to the robots. That's exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to get cheap enough. They're going to be cost effective to where we can just get them and they can do the dishes, they can do the laundry, they can do some mundane tasks. And they're going to be down to where you finance them like a car. But they're going to be worth having. So you see Amazon's doing a little rollout with this rolling around $2,000 thing that's like Alexa on wheels that rolls around your house and can bring drinks to different rooms and stuff like that and monitor your house. I think we are heading in the next 3 to 5 years into a really strange world. And I think the adoption is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen in your entire life, where security is going to play a very important role in that.
Yeah. I got hot pot the other day, and my hot pot was, the meat on the tray was brought to me by a cute little robot.
Yeah.
Rolling around.
I mean, other countries have embraced it a lot.
Yeah.
China's embraced it.
Maybe Japan a little bit too much with the AI girlfriends.
Japan's definitely, yes, correct.
Where do you stand on the AI girlfriend thing? Are you all in? Do your kids code their own girlfriends?
No. I mean, but they definitely could. But here's the deal: is look, we're in a country that's like 40+% of the population's on an antidepressant. If AI can assist in making that better and getting them off synthetic drugs and deal with and cope with these depression that's out there, I think that will, it's either going to influence it more and make more people depressed, or it's going to alleviate some of the pain for other people. But sometimes people just want someone to go to, and if that someone's not available, an AI robot can learn all things about you relatively fast. And I think that it might help. I really, truly do. So my personal humble opinion is it's going to go one of two ways, which is really the only way it can go. It's either going to be a very positive thing for society, or it's just going to be a total disaster.
Well,
here's the best news: is we're gonna witness it live.
Yeah,
that is a guarantee.
I'm going for the premium model, $9.99 a month. I'm paying full price.
That's, on a podcast, I'll say to each his own. I don't know. I mean, look, if you're married and you go to a robotic girlfriend, is that cheating?
There's going to be a
question.
whole,
I'm just,
dude, this could be a whole podcast.
It's going to go down a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, this could be a whole show on its own. I mean, like a full podcast just about the philosophies of AI and what that does to people.
As if dating wasn't hard enough, okay?
Yeah.
And then you throw that into the mix, yeah.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts.
It's not going to be. It is actually happening as we speak, and that's the thing is we keep saying, there's already 500,000 or 600,000 users on what is that app that is strictly
AI girlfriend?
Yeah, it's like it's one of the apps. There's so many apps out there now that. Yeah. It's happening. And that's another thing I don't think people quite get is AI is not just coming and then one day it's like electricity and boom, you turn it on. It's here. It's now. It's just happening and it's getting better and better. A great example is if you look at Midjourney's Yoda picture from 18 months ago to Yoda's picture now. And that's in 18 months. And it's like Yoda looks like Bart Simpson, basically. Okay. Yeah. And then 18 months later, he looks like the best Yoda that Pixar could ever do in a million years, Have
you ever seen Buff Yoda?
Excuse me?
Somebody did Buff Yoda.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I haven't seen it. No,
they beefed up all the Star Wars characters. And
I have seen
super real
some
and super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you even lift young Skywalker?
I hate to say this, but I'm a Trekkie. I'm not a Star Wars person.
Okay, this is the end of the podcast.
I can use that acknowledge. I just, whatever.
No, fair enough. I'm not competitive at all. I like them both.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Correct.
I grew up on Star Wars.
I've tried to really I've watched them all, Star Wars. I've watched them all. I just couldn't get into them. I don't know. I'm a Trekkie. Can't help it.
And that's exactly what's going to happen with certain AI models. Some people are going to favor the others, and some, you're going to have that flavor of the week. It's like Diet Coke versus Coke and Pepsi versus, we're all going to have our flavors to choose from, and the models are going to become more robust and better. And what's really expensive is training the LLM, right? But once it's trained, then it still takes a lot of horsepower to utilize it, but training's the most expensive part.
Yeah. So AI blockchain, would you say that's more on the privacy side or is it a security thing? And the reason I'm asking this is because the privacy guys, I'm thinking of people like Adam Stone. Shout out to Adam Stone. If you asked Adam Stone, what's the difference between privacy and Security, he'll say security is about securing stuff. It's about stuff. Privacy is more about information and people. But then you have this thing within security called the AI, not the AI, the security triad, the CIA. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality is a part of security, right? And so is there a security component to blockchain? Is it a security tool? Is it a thing that we can use for security, or is it mainly a privacy concern?
I think you can make it private, obviously, and I do think it's a great security mechanism, but more or less, and I write about this in Addicted to Silence in the New Age of AI, is it's a validation mechanism. So if you have an AI algorithm that is outputting outputs to whatever, and you're Susie, Bill, or Joe, and Susie, Bill, and Joe are validated by a corporate hierarchy, meaning they have managers that they answer to for the work that they do. Why on earth would you ever deploy artificial intelligence in your organization and not have a validation mechanism for those models? So in a nutshell, it is a validation mechanism for the outputs to AI, and it's immutable, meaning you can't edit it, which is very important. So there's all these acts out there. You have Sarbanes-Oxley, you have HIPAA compliancy if you're in the medical field, and you have SOC 2. I can go on and on with compliancies. It is a ledger that when you output the AI, the artificial intelligence outputs to that ledger, it's there. And then you can run reports on it. You can't edit it. So you know how, what, when, why, and where the outputs are. And another thing, AI, let's not forget, it has drifting issues. It has hallucinations. Wouldn't you like to know when and where those were presented and output to?
Have a record of it.
Yeah, so you need records, and it's a great record keeping mechanism. And I tell a lot of people, if you really don't understand blockchain, just go to ChatGPT and go, what are the benefits of tying AI to blockchain? It'll tell you in itself what the benefits are. You can go to our blog on AIblockchainventures.com. We have done a significant job, I think, a great job of really use case scenarios. I've talked to tons of corporations. In 1 month, I talked to over 90 companies. It's a lot of companies, and I'm talking CIO level. And so, yeah, I think that a lot of my right now, what's going on with ABV is we're educating people more than but that education comes with a slow and steady, consistent track record of continually getting what these IT people want and then solving from the outward in. So I definitely think it's a security mechanism and it's a privacy mechanism. We can layer on top of Azure, Oracle, AWS. It doesn't matter. You can run a private blockchain on anything, on any cloud. And I think that it's the way to go. It's my personal humble opinion. And then people are going to say, well, it can't scale. It gets more expensive. It slows down. All that's fixed by AI. Every single thing you can throw at it is now fixed by AI. It wasn't 18 months ago, but AI can sparse a blockchain. You can go to different accesses of a blockchain, and you can also authenticate people through the blockchain as well. So you have the privacy and you have the security as well.
There you go.
Did I answer that correctly?
How's that?
Absolutely. There's no correct answer, but
just memorized with all that.
Yeah. Well, you also pointed out another part of the CIA triad that's addressed directly by blockchain, which is integrity. So, I think we can put blockchain, at least on this show, we'll put blockchain in the security bucket, at least partially.
I would. Yeah. I mean, can it be hacked? Well, we can ask Solana. Solana was hacked, 4 times plus. So yeah, anything can be hacked. I think if you throw enough computing power at it, but Bitcoin's stand its test of time for over a decade now. So with that stated, I think that I think it should be adopted more. I really, truly do. I think the adoption's very slow for a technology that is this robust and powerful, but nevertheless, AI is not going away, and neither is blockchain. They are a great marriage technology. So that's what I even said it in my book. I said, I love AI, I love blockchain. You marry those two together and you can go on a venture. And so a lot of people come to me and think that I'm a venture capital company, that has to do with AI and blockchain. Maybe someday, but right now, no. And I've never been too hyped about loaning money to make money. Let those vultures do that. I'm more of a guy who likes to solve solutions for organizations methodically, transparency, and step by step,
I've got tons of questions, but I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. But
okay.
Maggie, over to you. I know you've got questions.
Yeah.
This could be a 2-part series, Maggie, if we get if you get tired of it.
I honestly, I would love to have you on the show again. I think that's a fantastic idea. While you were saying all of that, I really wanted to hone back in on the education piece, because what you're doing is really crucial to up and coming generations. I mean, we've talked about your kids here. We've talked about some of the things that you could really help teach the public with. So in your opinion, is this something that you're already, I would assume you're facilitating with universities and everything? Are you doing anything educationally to build that out on the side? What are you trying to kind of look at it in that angle?
I wish there was enough time in the day, but no, right now we're just talking to certain corporations. I have a 9-page engagement letter. Once I sign with them and they sign with that engagement letter, I can't really discuss who and what we're doing with the companies. I would love to mention some names. I'm GSA approved as of 2 weeks ago, so now I can do this for the United States government, which is pretty exciting because there's some cool projects that they have out there that I think blockchain and AI would be. And again, if you came to us and you just wanted us to do some AI, we can implement AI. We don't have to do the blockchain. I just think it's foolish to implement AI and not have a ledger that can track the AI's outputs, that can't be hacked and it can't be edited. It's very important.
Especially when the AI starts committing crimes.
You never know. Yeah,
you
exactly.
never know.
And another thing, I'm glad you brought this up. A lot of people don't understand. Like from old school days, you can make viruses and then you open the link and boom, boom, someone can write AI with viruses embedded and you'd have no clue. No, McAfee or Norton's not going to grab and know that the AI has a virus inside of it. So there's a whole article on that. Actually, it's amazing. There's many articles on it, but there's some great articles on embedding viruses inside the AI technology. So that's kind of scary all in itself. So you need to know where those models come from. How you're going to utilize those models. What I like is there's a particular company that came to us that does about $168 million in net profit per quarter. And she had a list of issues. And I took her list of issues and then I dissected each one, but I concentrated on just a couple to execute those quite well. And she was mind blown. A lot of people don't think how AI and blockchain go together in any facet whatsoever. They think of, first, most people think blockchain crypto. That's what they think. That's the rapid cognitive thinking, right? That's their brain going, I hear the word blockchain. What crypto are you trying to push on me? Rug pool or something. They don't understand that it's an immutable ledger out there that they can do a lot of things. It can a blockchain's it's a database, it's a computer, and it's a network, right? So it can execute certain things depending on how much inventory you have or how much inventory you don't have. So and we have to forget. We keep forgetting that we can program it or we can have AI tell it what to do based on certain things and execute smart contracts and stuff. And then a lot of people think NFTs are just images. NFTs are a lot more than just images. And so I love these polls on LinkedIn that say, are NFTs still here to stay or are they going away? And then you look at the poll and 90% of the people say they're gone. That's a big statement. An NFT can be so many things. It can be a ticket to go see a movie. It can be a ticket to go into a concert. It could be so many different assets, a collateral asset, or it can be a validation mechanism.
So on that real quick, do you think that the smart contract part of an NFT or that part of blockchain is here to stay? Smart contracts. What is the current and the future state of smart contracts?
First, I don't think anyone has utilized them the way they should be utilized in a corporate environment, in a B2B environment. Secondly, I think that if the CEOs and the CIOs actually knew the importance of what a smart contract can do to their bottom line, there would be a more rush to adopt that.
What can it do to the bottom line?
I think it can greatly increase the bottom line by giving you a direct ROI mechanism inside of it. Meaning, I'll give you an example, a brief, very plain Jane example in layman terms. If I'm in accounting and I need to run a report, it can run the report and then tell you all the people that it would have taken to run what it just did, and give you and tell you a dollar amount associated with those people that you would be paying, and then output the outputs to you and give you an ROI mechanism within the report. So therefore, a report that would have cost you, I'm just using this as an example, $500 is now done by one person or automatically. And then you have an ROI reporting mechanism built in with a dollar amount of what that would have cost if AI wasn't in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
now with that stated, you can scale what I just said on a magnitude across your entire organization of mundane task. And now I know Sally and Jeff and Bob just hung up this thing and said, great, I'm out of a job. No, you're not out of a job. You're leveraging technology, and you're going to show your boss that you can utilize this technology and you can do other things in the organization, because the organization will grow quicker, faster, more efficiently. And you become a much more valuable person by knowing and leveraging what I just stated. So I think it's perspective again, not perception. Your perception is you're going to lose your job, but if you take your shoes out of or if you take your feet out of your shoes real quick and put it into a perspective mechanism, you will see that AI is nothing more than a tool that will help you. I have a shovel. Now I just brought in the backhoe. The backhoe is going to do a lot more than the shovel, but the shovel is going to make sure that I don't break pipes if I'm going, next to a pipe. So there's time and place for a shovel, but the backhoe is going to get the job done a lot quicker. That's why you see backhoes all over the side of the road under road construction. Just, shooting that out there. But I do believe the biggest problem with blockchain is knowledge. The people in situations don't want, if I say no, if I'm in a major organization, if I'm in PwC and I go to my CIO, and sorry, PwC, to use you guys, but it's a plug for you. If I go to my organization and I say no to this technology, nothing happens. I still have a job. I'm not on a line. I've risked nothing. My kids are still going to have hockey practice. I'm still going to be able to afford tutoring and all that. As soon as I say yes and things go afoul, things can happen to my position at PwC. And I don't want things to happen at my position. So we get complacent. And by being complacent, it costs PwC a lot of money. So there's a time for yeses, but I think there's a lot of yeses don't come into the woodwork and the mix because of what might happen to me if I say yes. That's simple. I saw that in the toy buying industry, right? When you'd meet with a toy buyer at Toys R Us, which is now no longer here. And they were like, yeah, I don't know. I know you're going to do 90 grand in marketing this month, but I just, let me look. I'm going to go into Target and I'm going to count every day at a store how many units you sold. And at the end of the month, I'll call you and let you know. It's a true story, by the way. That's why Toys R Us isn't around anymore and Target is still here. So, you have to, there's risk involved, even when you're in an organization, and you have to take those. And the only way you take those is by saying that 3-letter word. Yes. Otherwise, nothing happens.
I wish you were at the conference I attended earlier today, because this exact conversation was brought up about us trying to get major security measures in with the government on more of a local municipality level, things like this, because we're having the same exact hiccups and we can't get yeses fast enough. And then, it's like the amount of dissecting that goes on, or flat out won't even take our calls when we know, well, I'm just going to go ahead and call them out. My hometown is still operating Microsoft 7, like the things that are going on right now. And, that's what happens when you have, people in a position for too long that are just maybe I don't want to say not educated, because obviously these people know what they're doing. They're very successful, but you have to be more collaborative, especially with outside resources at this point in time. We do not have any more time to waste. Everything you've said in this entire conversation only backs up, we're not just geeks out here talking geek speak. We are truly changing the world, and more importantly, protecting it. And so especially with government, whether it's, anything to the level I just mentioned or military, there has to be more collaboration from civilians and the government across the board if we're all going to stay safe. So I'm glad that you said
I agree. And the NSA today sent me an email, and they said, oh, here, we just put $26 million to these OpenAI or these OpenAI projects, not OpenAI, the company, just open source AI projects, excuse me. And I'm like, $26 million? I mean, Dubai just partnered with someone and gave them $200 million on G42 with OpenAI, actually the company, and Cerberus.net, who I have an NDA with, and I can't go into detail on that. But I mean, these other countries are spending tons of money on their back end infrastructure. And that's what it takes. The front end might look beautiful. Your doors, your building, if you go down to Sarasota County's police department, it's a gorgeous building. It actually is. But again, who's running their internal operations? A long story short, we had 2 months ago, MGA, or a month ago, I think. I'm in warp speed. MGA was completely zipped up, hacked, for $30 million ransom, and the way they got in was really ruthless. If they had some great software out there, some identity management software out there, that would have never happened. But will they spend the $35 to $45 per seat for the software management tool that they need? Well, now they probably wish they did, but that's always after the fact. Human beings are so amazing. We let our health go until there's a problem. and then we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't eat all that sugar anymore. I'm a victim of it. Listen, or I'm not a victim. I'm actually I'm the guy that does it.
You're both the victim and the perpetrator.
Thank you. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Thanks, Josh. And I might have to have you with me on some other podcast if you don't mind to clarify what I say.
Yeah, I'll be your backup.
So yeah, I mean, I just have so much going on in my head that it's hard to get it all out. But yeah, and I think that's what happens, and is what will happen within the government system is things will crash, things will get hurt really bad, and then only then they'll go, maybe it's time to update the entire back end. And yes, it's expensive, but you'll see an ROI long term. There's ROIs come in, a return on your investment come in all different facets, and especially with security. It's the things you don't know that could have happened is an ROI, but you never knew that they even happened. Because you had the right security measures in play. Listen, I sold security software for a very long time, and I would sit there and look at these companies, and you'd go into their network, and there's just so many companies I'd love to mention right now. I would love to mention, but you just are like, how do you even run in the morning? How do you start up your systems and operate, and it's very scary out there.
Unfortunately, it's not until life puts the squeeze on them and then they feel the pain. But even 100%. I've had a little bit more forgiveness for some companies, like thinking of how differently MGM and Caesar's Palace dealt with the ransomware attacks. Everybody's giving their opinion on whether you should pay the ransom or not, and it seems like the one that paid the ransom made less money this year, and the one that didn't pay the ransom made less money this year, and the one who paid the ransom made more, because for them $15 million is a rounding error. So it's far more nuanced, and like you said,
it is. But now, if you pay the ransom, how do you know that they don't have complete access now at any given time?
I'm with you. Like I had this argument for over a period of a week with with my boss Chad Beckman, and we just went back and forth. And at the end of it, I was like, man, you know what? This may be a lot more nuanced than I thought it was. So even things like we need all the help we can get. Bring on AI. And specifically, I'm going to plug you. Give John a call. AI Blockchain Ventures.
John, I'll tell you, I will. I put a lot of passion into my book. I put a lot of passion into what it is we do, and then if you don't use our services, it's not a big deal to me. It's not like I'm not tied to a venture capital firm. I don't have to make these numbers by the end of the month, so I'm living life like there's no tomorrow. It's an amazing time the way things are all working out. So I'm just enjoying it. I have a lot of time. Like you asked me at the beginning of this podcast, how did like going from zero to full blown, blowing up in the toy company affect you and your family? You start to realize as you age, I think, I'm sorry to say this, but I do believe as you get older in life and your back doesn't work like it used to, your certain health things kind of break down and you're just like, really? I think you take a different perspective on it. I think you find out that time is something that you don't get back, and you start to prioritize what you really want out of life. I used to think, growing up very poor in St. Louis, Missouri, I need money. I got to have this money to do this and that. And money's fun, and it's a great thing, but it's not the end all. I'd much rather. My son one time said something to me, and I said, if someone handed me a briefcase of money, you think I'd sell them to you? I mean, is that what you think it's about? And my son just kind of looked at me, and then he's young. He was 8 or 9 at the time. And he started looking at me like, yeah, he's kind of right. Like, I'm not worth a briefcase of money. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. So I think we often forget that because we live in a transaction society. That's what I wanted to say earlier.
Right.
We live in a transaction 100%. Society. Everything's a transaction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From the time we get up to the time we go to bed. And so I do believe you just have to figure out what you want. But you're going to need it. I mean, security is not going away either. It's something that's going to be around for a long time. I think the whole MGA thing was I don't think it's about paying the ransom. I think it's about preventing the ransom ever even happening. And if you do that correctly, you don't have to talk about should we pay the ransom or should we not.
Yeah, and the conversation goes on. And John, I thoroughly enjoy this. I could go for another hour. I can go for anytime. If you guys
like, I'm going to do these podcasts from now on for a while now that I have my book out and get the name out and get the word out. So anytime you want to do it, we can jump on and we can talk about a lot of things. I love to talk, obviously.
I'm telling you right now, you're recurring for us. And I guarantee you, everyone listening this is why I love people like you on the show. You educate. You are a real down-to-earth person, and you're killing the game with innovation. And when you get someone like you on, everyone, their ears perk up. So we really appreciate you being here today. How can people, if they want to check you out, get a hold of you, where can they find you?
So you can go to AI Blockchain Ventures and hello@aiblockchainventures.com. You can go to addictedtosilence.com. And my last plug and my most passionate thing, if you saw my full studio that I'm in right now, I have this little robot over here. We've been working on this for about 3 years, and it's called Guitar Fling. And we're making a VR AI blockchain game. So it's a robot. You come into the map with 3 robots, and you're on the moon, and you have to get to the concert hall. The AI will produce a video concert for you, animation concert for you. We've been working on it a long time, and we're launching that here soon. So Guitar Fling is it's going to be a token out there you can look at as well. But I'm passionate about that. But yeah, so again, if you want to see the book's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's going to be on 20 platforms. It takes forever to roll out, so it's syndicated nicely. It's a great book. You'll love it. Just read the dedication. If nothing else, read the dedication, and I think that then you'll see the quality of what you're getting into.
Awesome. And I'm Josh Bruning. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and you can also find Maggie on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. And subscribe to our newsletter, the Security Market Watch newsletter on LinkedIn. And the book is Addicted to Silence. And Jonathan Capriola, thanks a lot for being on Security Market Watch. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to this episode. Goodbye.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.
And Maggie, I should say.